Good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen. If we can all take our seats now, we are going to proceed to the first panel discussion. I hope everyone have enjoyed the coffee break. Let's now check the level of our energy by the sound of round of applause, please. Right. Maybe we can do better after lunch too. Well, welcome back everyone. We are now moving to our first panel discussion, which will be very interesting and excited. But before that, just a few housekeeping announcements and just to let all of you know what are happening during the 2 days. Like I said, here in the main room and on stage, this is kind of an official event that we are going on. But it's very, very difficult to gather this amount of amazing women and men here in the same room. So we really have to squeeze in a lot more than just our official program here in the room. So just to let you know, outside in front of our ballroom, there are a lot of things. First of all, we would like to introduce to you the knowledge corner, what we call. If you go in the front, it's on the left-hand side. A table full of publications, reports, documents, videos, all related to our subject and very, very good publication reports. So we really hope that you will be visiting the Knowledge Corner to explore more for our own knowledge and experience. We also have touch screen, which is very interesting because it's a touch screen in which you can look at your own country or any other country, if you're interested to see the gender gaps in the region. So you touch on that screen and it shows you a data which show the gender gaps. It might be interesting for us. It's also a reality that we found. So we encourage you to also go to touch that screen that we have prepared. Also, as we all see that we are on our web podcasting as well. So we really encourage you to share on your own Facebook page or profiles or Instagram or Twitter with hashtag #ForWomenAP and hashtag #GameChangers so that we are also exploring for other people who are not here to also get the message coming across from all of us, from the keynote addresses, from our speaker as well. So please take part in our social media campaigns. And now, Slido. This is also one of the very important mechanisms we use in this conference because we really want to encourage everyone to have opportunity to ask questions, share your thought, and doing a little bit of polling. So we're still collecting in our traditional way of question and answer. Of course, you can always raise your hand, asking question to the panelists, to our chair will be coordinating that. But at the same time, we also would like to encourage you to use Slido in case you feel like asking in more typing ways and having your names anonymously in any form. So I would like to quickly introduce to you Slido. You can go to slide.do or in your web browser, slido.com. It will direct you to Slido. What you need is the code, which you might already have from your cards given by our registration team this morning. For Women AP, that's the codes or the password. And if you go there, there are two things you can do on Slido. Let's now experience if you can have your phone or your tablet. Go to slido.com or slide.do, either way, it will go to the page. Yes. I hope everybody are on Slido now. Can I see the rest of hand? If you find it? Not a lot? Okay. Let's do a little bit of polling. Our team, can we have the polling? And this is live. It's happening. For example, the first question, you will see this on your Slido. And all you need to do is just click on either true or false based on your own opinion. Are we doing that now? Right, it's technology. It takes a little bit of time. There is also a question on your Slido. This is just example, right? The question on what country you from. And this is happening live. So every time you type in your country, it's go to Slido, and this is the result. So we know Samoa look bigger than anybody else. We have India, Singapore, Fiji, Australia, and now some of the other countries are getting bigger too. I don't see Cambodia here yet. Right. So it's a polling. So we know exactly who we are, where we come from. And again, this is only just for us to take an example. So there are two things you can do on Slido. First of all, Slido for question and answer, where you can type in your question. And then Slido for polling, where you click on multiple choices. Right? And why we encourage you to do that? Because sometimes our question have been asked by somebody else, and we like that question. So in Slido, there is also an opportunity for you to like other people's question. And question that receive the most like will top up as the first question, where our chair will be take one as priority. So you can either ask question, put your name on it. There is a box where you can type your name in it. Or you can just skip the names. You just go your question not knowing who we asked, but the question is still very valid. Right? I think I make all the point now. Again, this is only an example. We are going to experience and learning to do this later. But for now, if we can now put our phone, our tablet back on the table and not facing it, because we are now moving with the panel discussion. We are having women from around Asia Pacific region share their view on what they want to see for the future of work and what they think will help women to succeed. And allow me to introduce our chair, and she will be chairing the panel discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Megha Dasais, right here. She holds a degree in commerce and law from Gujarat University, India, and has undergone the Senior Management Development Program from India Institute of Management. Before joining the Self-Employed Women Association, or in short, SEWA, she worked as Senior Research Analyst with the Center for International Financial Analysts and Research Inc. USA, Indian subsidiary, for 9 years. She has also worked as Program Manager for Leadership Development Program in education field in India. She is working with SEWA since last 14 years. She is currently holding post of Senior Coordinator of Program and Rebuilding Life of war-affected sisters in Sri Lanka, Nepal, Afghanistan, and Myanmar. So without further ado, I would like to now hand over the stage to Ms. Megha, and she will be moderating the session. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Respected dignitaries and distinguished guests, I am very happy to welcome you all to the session, Tell It Like It Is, Amplifying Voices of the Women for Future of Work. We all are witness of rapid changes that have been taken place in our own countries. The driving dynamics of these changes may be internal or external, as the keynote speakers also discuss several dynamics of the changes. And we have felt that many of the community members, the workers, they could grab the opportunities of these changes, while some has left out. Some has benefited, while some have lost. If we talk about Global South, the current situation of the majority of the workers is informal, precarious, dangerous, and barely able to afford nutrition, education of their children. And at this point, we feel that the future is bleak. A better future of work for Global South relies on structural transformation of the workforce. Then we can change the work of the communities. The Asia and Pacific being the home of 60% of the population, and women occupies almost half of the pie. It is vital to hear the voices of the women of Asia Pacific, their learnings and their challenges, and mainly how they turn the challenges into opportunities. They also foresee future and how they can see future based on the country and regional dynamics. I'm working at SEVA, Self-Employed Women's Association, which is organizing women of informal sector since last 45 years. And we have 1.7 million women as our members from informal sector. So the learning with women since 45 years says that women being the nurturer and caretaker of not only the families for the children, but entire ecosystem. Ecosystem means the environment, the nature, the trees around us. So our founder has said that we have connection with each and every one. And if we also nurture those, not only the humans, but nature, then we have a better future for our children. So, as a nurturer and caretaker, we feel that women can think more rationally by using their wisdom based on the value-based, knowledge-based, and technology-based work which can develop the local economies under ages of globalization, climate change, which can bring the better future decent work for social justice, equality, and inclusive development. We are thankful to ILO for giving us platform to bring out voices of our sisters, which are based on churned experiences and augmenting the most benefits out of the changes that have taken place and witnessed since last 10-15 years. Based on the changes of globalization, climate change, on other socioeconomic diversities. Sisters and brothers, with this, let me join to welcome our first panelist, Ms. Sauwalak Thongyu. So I think we will invite all our panelists together. So our second panelist is Ms. Dina. She is from Cambodia. Ms. Sauwalak is from Thailand, but she is working regionally in Asia Pacific. And let's welcome our third panelist, Nasrika. She's from Malaysia, but she's working for the women of Indonesia. So first, I would like to invite Sauwalak. Before that, I will briefly give her introduction. She is Regional Development Officer at Disabled Peoples International Asia Pacific at Regional Office. She is also Regional Coordinator of Abilis Foundation. She is also founding member of ASEAN Disability Forum. She is Executive Director, Asia Pacific Disabled Peoples Organization. And she has also received awards in 2016 and 2008 for outstanding women's work. Let's welcome her.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Madam Chair, for your introductions. Very beautiful introduction, and yeah, I accept it. As I have 10 minutes, I will go directly to my presentations. Now, my presentation will be highlighted to intersectionalities. We know that people have different identity that can change over time or in different places. Sometimes the attributions of our identities can be used by others to discriminate, to stereotype, to exclude, to marginalize. In some circumstances, the identities is being used to exclude or marginalize. For instance, it may be disability, age, parental, or mental state, marital status, nationality, sexual orientation, gender identity, political beliefs, or activities, or other identities. Yes. But in many circumstances, discriminations cannot be limited into single categories and cut them off from the others. The experience of discriminations and exclusions often does not just happen because of one category. So our identity naturally intersects. Yes, I am seriously talking about intersectionalities in our woman identities. So I want you to discover with me with a true reality story from the real women who are living on the ground. It is this story come from our partner member in Japan conducted the survey on violence and discrimination towards women with disability in workplace. The first story. A woman with hearing impairment. She worked at massage shops, and her salary was below minimum wage, of course, below the minimum wage guarantee because she has a very low education. She doesn't have opportunity to get to the higher education levels because there is no sign language interpreter provided. And she has to work overtime to earn more. And one day, the male client violated and asked her to have sex. And she tried to deny and reported the case to her boss. The shop owner is her boss, of course. But the shop owner requested her to accept it. On the last day of her work, she came to the shop again and then met that guy who came to ask for massage service and forced her to have sex and tried to rape her. And she begged her several times to release her. But the man insists that he wants to have sex with her. And she was very terrified. And suddenly, to prevent herself, to avoid being raped, she grabbed the pocket knife in the room to stab the guy, and the guy died. And she was in the jail, sentenced for 3-year term, because there was no legal aid to support her, no sign language interpreters, and her boss did not stand on her side. And she was 3 years in jail. Right now, she was out. For 3 years ago, and her name was recorded in the criminal court. And she asked, when I met her, what should she do? Is this her fault? Whose fault? And how policymakers, how our country, how the government to realize the intersecting discrimination and violence happen on the ground to people who are having multiple identity. And there is no choice, almost no choice. And the second story about migrant worker, and this is the real case that I faced several years ago. She is a female Kachin from Myanmar and could not find a job there, of course, with a low education. She came here, she came across border to Chiang Mai with work permit. She asked the agency to provide her to provide her work permit, and she get the work at the construction site. Oh my God, what is my tongue? Yeah. It seemed everything go fine, but the luck did not stay with her longer. She fell down from the construction, the stand inside the construction site. I have the problem with 2 words. And then she was injured, spinal cord injured, and was in the hospitalized for 3 months for the first medical intervention. And she has to spend the other 3 months for other medical rehabilitation. But the employer paid only 3 months. And she has no home to stay. You know, and other women groups try to support her. We go to the government shelter for women, government shelter for persons with disability. But none of these shelters accept her to live in temporarily because she is not Thai. She does not have ID card. And she is a woman and they now become with disability. Women shelter cannot take care of women who have disability. When we turn to disability shelter, okay, we don't know how to deal with this. She is Kachin, not Thai. So we can provide services to Thai persons only. So from the story, then you can see that stigma are still, you know, strongly take place on the ground, and discrimination and violences in workplace are continually, you know, happen. But all of them are kept silent. Because the lady who have, you know, multiple or intersecting identity doesn't have any power, you know, to take their voice out or even to claim her rights and to access to others' justice systems. So therefore, for the future, and then we will not leave no one behind. We need a more active labor market policies. It is the solution, but I'm not sure that it is the best. I would say that it is a must solution, that we need a more active labor market policy, which, you know, include the measure to prevent welfare dependency. Firstly, work and employment option participation actually link with the increasing of social assistance. We need social assistance rather than, you know, welfare dependencies. And we also need the implementations of anti-discrimination policy, which include intersecting disabilities, intersecting identities. And also we need enforcement, a greater enforcement of existing quota system or other specific measure system to extend opportunity for people who are living in minority or vulnerable situation to get a job. This quota system should be in harmonized or in line with the labor market policy. I tell you the last story. How many minutes do I have? This is from Thailand. We have quota system, and then many more in Asia, in ASEAN also has quota system. 1%, 2%, 3%, and 4%. But here in Thailand, one case, she is my friend. She was employed under quota system in a big company. Under exceptional substantive policy. I expect that some Thai government are sitting around here. But you know, one day, she is pregnant. And she informed Human Resource Development Unit that, okay, she wants to take maternal leave. The company does not discriminate. The Human Resource says that, okay, you can take maternal leave. But we will not pay you. The second choice, you get some lump sum and then get out. Because we hire you under exceptional quota system. But what happened when we want person with disability, women with disability to get a job? If we don't look at them as a human, as an equal worker, as another equal worker, the policy will be dependent on welfare. And when we focus on welfare, both persons with disability or women with disabilities in other status and the company will select the easier system to implement the law.
Sister Savalak, thank you so much for your passionate speech. And with this, your time is up. We really appreciate your sharing of regional experiences of the women and women with disabilities. Thank you so much. We learned a lot about which are the constructive ways with which we can support the women with disabilities. So she talked about we seek active labor market policies for disabled people and specifically for women. She also talked about we don't want to be dependent. We need work. In the policies, priorities work. And then the priorities are social assistance and the welfare. She said that welfare is the last. So thank you so much for passionate speech. And now with this, we welcome Ms. Dina. Ms. Dina is from Cambodia, and she is Vice President of CFTUWT, that is Coalition Free Trade Union of Women's Textile, Cambodia. She used to work as a public communication person with FTUWKC before this, that is Free Trade Union Workers Association, and she is active unionist throughout her work life. And now let's welcome Sister Dina.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so greeting. I'm happy today. So I had to introduce my name, Dina Om. I am a Vice President of Coalition Free Trade Union Women Textiles. Before I have many experience. I have challenge with my company at the humanity, everything what happened around me. So first I got the news work in 2004 before I start volunteer free work with the human resource with PIO. Yeah, I collect the children on the garbage dump site, and the poor children, every community, they have ability to go to the school, and also get them to the school and help and promote something with happen around the children. So after I can find another supporter, how the children, many children in the community, even the organization. So I finished this job. I can't get the new job with the company in 2007 till 2008. I have a big company. We had the production chain. So when I have problem and challenge with the employer, we had to pressure like extra the worker work overtime without pay, impermissible necessary leave, cannot talk on phone and discussion with the another co-worker. So especially when the female worker has pregnancy, they had to terminate them. So everything happened at the challenge with me and my co-worker. I had to sing and I short with the GM in the company and always discussion and we can talk and GM we can adopt it with me. So I can talk, let me think around with myself. I don't know what happened, how can I help the worker, co-worker right here. So I discuss, so I dare to discussion with the boss and the boss before he talked to me so loudly, why you say like that? I think, I thought, and I satisfied to them, and I smiling to, and also to talk one step by step, so about imprison and bad condition, all, and he adapted and low, and everything good in the workplace. So it is my success in the printing house. So I finished the printing house, I got a new one company, it had a problem, like the company, a Chinese employer. So they had to fork another staff, make another skill, it is and my expert, like the climb internet, like the women can climb on internet, and we can walk around the city, scan the trip to find the service. So we cannot change everything. So how can I do? What it is my experience, so I cannot do everything and walk, and climb up the internet. Climb internet right here to change the position. I am a human resource administrator. So I had to discuss with the union, the president of Free Trade Union of the Kingdom in Cambodia. So he introduced me about labor law and good condition, good idea, something every. So I dare to discuss again with the employer. And employer talked to me, why you said you are no brain? So I have brain. I can talk with you to find any resolution. So what happened? And he cannot allow. And a few days, he sing, we cannot allow, we can boycott in workplace. We come to work, but we cannot work. So what happened? He left, he agreed. We are all together, and we can work my expert like here, and we can do something within the company. So I'm so motivated myself. I can talk with him, and I can work and around. I think that all the workers in Cambodia had a problem. Even we work with the company, it had a problem. Even the government, it also. So I am a unionist with the ATU WKC and have a challenge with many around me so much. And us, we had challenge with the cost, government, and we talk with employer. We had to try make the worker caught in the prison, and we have many challenge. So especially the women suffer in miscarriage. When they try, they violent in the workplace, terminate job. What happened we can take leave, especially every day I can to find how the women fall down in the workplace. So the employer don't care about them. So how can we do? So I always encourage the women to advocacy with employer when the women fall down in the floor. We must to talk and must to help, to call ambulance, to help go to the hospital. So it is so many challenges. So I'm also to attend with a member women union network, and we have women union network. We have good policy. We have help to push, encourage the women and demand and to be the women to be strongly and highly and to get more benefit. If the women work hard and cannot get more benefit, so I don't want So I want the women get more the benefit in their family, especially of violence in workplace. So we had to campaign, many campaign. As 2006, we had to campaign demand on ILO Convention 138 and 139, 189, 183, 189. Yes, and we will plan to campaign again on this year on Women International Day, demand ILO Convention 183, 189, and certain contract, and to push and to stop violence gender in the workplace. So everything I want to women to dare and proud everything to advocacy with employer. So employer and also and also I want to suggest like ILO Ministry of Labor in Cambodia, also government, to push and encourage the women and make them the paperwork is not a museum. It is the support. It is the support of the workly. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dina, for sharing the experiences of women workers in garment in Cambodia. As Mr. Gray and Dr. Sharman talked about in their speech, that what are the challenges, and we need to learn what are in small pockets, there is something is happening. So I feel that based on these experiences, we have to mainly look on to the women to women learning and exchange visits that can help them to expand these kind of learnings to reach out to other countries and other areas. So thank you so much, Dina. Now with this, I would like to invite Ms. Nasrika. She is from Malaysia, but originally she is from Indonesia. And she is the leader of migrant domestic workers. She herself was a migrant domestic worker. She started working at the age of 18, and for past 20 years, she has been working as a domestic worker in Malaysia for 4 different employers, and she is currently pursuing the degree in English literature, and her ambition is to be a professional journalist one day. So let's welcome Nasrika.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Mega. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Before I begin to share my experience, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Nasrika, and at the moment, I'm the coordinator of Indonesian migrant workers community in Malaysia called Serantau. However, all above, I am just an ordinary domestic worker who have come to represent millions of my fellow migrant domestic workers across the globe. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer that has invited me to join this ILO regional conference on women and future work, and to share my experience as migrant domestic worker in Malaysia. In my experience as migrant domestic workers, I have 3 points to highlight. Number 1, I have been in Malaysia since 1997. It means 20 years already. Then I was only 18 years old and a high fresh graduate. Actually, I have received an offer letter from my local university at my hometown to continue study. But unfortunately, because of my family financial situation, I decided to leave my hometown and to work. Then I became migrant domestic worker in Malaysia. I felt that I was entrapped in that situation because I had no other option but taking job as a migrant domestic worker. If I have a chance to come back to that time, I would have to pursue my study and stop being domestic worker. Based on this experience, I would first make my remark that most of the migrant domestic workers have come to their job not because of their aspiration, but their helplessness and the lack of choice caused by poverty and low job opportunity in their hometown. Therefore, to a certain degree, I would say that their decision to migrate is of a forced migration. Number 2, as domestic worker, I used to work for a family whose occupation is medical doctor in Malaysia. As usual, in the morning I have to prepare daily breakfast, clothing, and call for the family, up to school preparation for their children. This usually ends at 9 a.m., after which they bring me to their private clinic, which is their main business activity. At the clinic, I undertake job as medical administrator, such as registering patient, assisting the doctor consultation, handling medicine prescription, billing, etc. That experience taught me that being a domestic worker does not necessarily comply with domestic work. My lack of private space has weakened my position in refusing jobs beyond the one that belong to the area of domestic work. Medical administrator, for instance, requires a certain skill which deserves better treatment and salary. However, my position as a domestic work disqualifies my actual work. The employer demands us to do skilled work, but they remain treating and waging us as a domestic worker. Number 3, in my workplace there were 2 other Filipino workers. Ironically, we did not share the same treatment. The 2 Filipinas have holidays once in every 2 weeks. But that did not happen to me, even though during religion holidays, where I'm supposed to do my right to practice religion. In addition, the Filipino workers receive bigger salary, which is 1 times than my salary. When the Filipino workers were on holiday, I have to do their job. Discrimination took place in silence, and at every space that Indonesian migrant workers room. The solution so far is to accept as it is. From this reflection, I would like to raise some recommendations. Number 1, policymakers and donors must consider allocating education fund for migrant workers and their family in form of scholarship. Thus far, the criteria of scholarship granted in many institutions tend to be feasible for only the rich community. For a start, having supplementary language courses such as English would help us to improve our communication as well as give us confidence to begin for better employment benefit with our employer. Upgrading skill and knowledge during our time abroad is very important, as it would also encourage us to work in our homeland instead. Further, it would not limit us to continuously seek employment as a domestic work and to stop the recycle migration for our next generation. Most female migrant workers fill in jobs under precarious categories of employment, with no job security, lack career advancement, and employment with no skill recognition. This needs to be changed if we take employment in domestic worker sector as an example. Many domestic workers are tasked to nurse the elderly. Is this not skill? It is. Due to our isolated work condition, we are denied access to information and opportunities. The future of domestic migrant workers will only to be improved if support are made available to upgrade and recognizing our skill in both academic and vocational education. Job matching also must be based on skill acquired, and microcredit facilities are similarly offered for those who want to set up their own small business. Number 2, it is important that both migrant sending and receiving country recognize domestic work as work. Only by the recognition, migrant domestic worker will be able to fully appreciate decent work principle as formalized by ILO. This will make sure that migrant domestic workers are paid decent wage, have sufficient rest and holidays, and are working in a safe environment. It is only during their rest day migrant domestic workers are able to spend quality time with their friends and engage themselves with useful activities. It is important not to isolate migrant domestic workers from the workplace, as it would increase their risk to abuse and violation. My community network have rescued migrant domestic workers from abusive work conditions. In some cases, migrant workers have died. Rectification of ILO 189 is important as it gives minimum protection for migrant domestic workers. Implementation and enforcement of the convention is equally important. Number 3, in the case of Indonesia and Malaysia, the government constantly updating their regulation regarding migrant workers. The majority of migrant workers are not aware of those changes. As a result, migrant workers follow an expired procedure of migration. I and my friend have been experimenting through Serantau at disseminating up-to-date information about migration procedure. By doing this, we try to inform and educate migrant workers on information that affect them in addition. If the government can support and collaborate with civil society groups and migrant associations, we would be able to pass accurate information to our communities. A migrant worker would them to able to make decision and know where she or he to seek assistance or file a complaint. Finally, I would like to stress that in order for this to be achieved, migrant worker voice through their association must be given the space for a dialogue and discussion. The worker association that I represent, Serantau, has been active in promoting our rights. However, our voices are limited. I'm very thankful that today I have given the space to share my experience as a domestic migrant worker. And I would like to end my presentation with the hope that more such space would be made for worker and worker association like us. Thank you.
Thank you, Nasrika, for taking us to the life of the migrant workers. It was really a journey in the life of migrant workers. As she said, there are so many challenges, much needs to be done, but as she said, she knows what needs to be done. The voices, there should be now with the domestic worker and care economy, we have to recognize this worker as a worker. We need to give them a right as a worker and the space to organize and to be part of the decision-making body. As well as she also talked about skill building and knowledge. So in this century, knowledge power is the biggest power, and we need to skill up, provide knowledge and technology so they can also be empowered to raise for their demands and needs in constructive way. We are not fighting against anyone, but in a constructive way, how we can live equally for social justice and the human rights. So with this, I would also like to share our experiences of Seva in regards of the future of work. We have also done series of workshops with our members in urban and rural sector in India as well as neighboring countries like Sri Lanka and all. So the things which came out of these discussions were, as you are aware, we are working with the women in different 145 different types of trades. They are into rural and urban areas and in India and neighboring countries. And these also include the women from areas which has recurring disasters and war-affected areas. And women and children are the most sufferers of these disasters. So I would like to take this opportunity to share briefly about what our sisters shared with us about the future of work. Following 4 different scenarios needs to be explored to achieve better future of work. Seva is mainly working with the women who are in informal sector, so they don't have employer-employee relationship as such. So the very first sector, the Asia mainly is agrarian economy, now towards service economy. So agriculture sector should be highlighted since majority of the Asian countries have predominant agrarian economy. And it employs almost 40 to 50% of the workforce of each country. In second point, in low and manufacturing sector, focuses on increasing wage share to increase productivity, upskilling technology to hire up workers in the value chain. Currently, they are at the low end, so we need to hire up them in the value chain. The third point is in low-end service sector, which is growing and is expected a steep growth, and thus digitization can be stimulating growth factor for workshops, for the workers looking at the migration from agriculture. Enabling policy environment to scale up for the workers' own enterprises to generate more employment opportunities and stimulator to developing the economy. So with this, we heard the stories from the grassroots, the realities, current realities, and how they are converting challenges into opportunities. So with this, I think we have time, and I would like to share each panelist one thing that people in the room can do to make a better future of work for women. So maybe you can, each of you can share one point, main point that each of the participants would like to take it forward.
Yep. Maybe my last message well related to my presentation that we need labor market, active labor market policy to ensure that all we women will be enjoy and fulfill their rights to work. So the especially for women who have multiple intersecting identity, that the labor market policy intends to protect any employee with a permanent and long-term or chronic disability in private and the governments and organization, labor union and employment agency against discriminations because of disability status or other status, and the extensions of the protection to all work-related to activities from job applications process to the termination include work conditions and fixed benefits. And if you have disability and other identity and you believe that you need alternations to some aspects of your jobs or job size, you can request reasonable accommodation. This is my message. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christina.
Okay. And for my aim, I want to avoid all the women in Cambodia to be brave and can be a leadership, and we can talk about advocacy in their workplace, even happen around them. So I would like WUN help the women encourage the women. We have to the WUN to make the campaign order every campaign to get success with the convention, ILO convention 183, 189, and to stop violence in workplace and everything what happened, and to my union and WUN help each other. Also ILO and government to help them and to pull the women lead the leadership in Cambodia. Ask me or ask another one like to come here. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Nasrika. Yeah, my last lesson is acknowledge domestic worker as a worker. Acknowledge our skill as a skilled worker and include us in the labor aid and also allowed us to form our own union. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Nasrika. Now we all know that what the women from the fields, from the grassroots need. The first thing is active labor market policies to be implemented for disabled women. The second was to develop the leadership to bring the women to the table in advocacy to decide for their work. And the third one is to recognize domestic workers, migrant workers as a worker, and to skill them to get the skilled workers' rights. So with this, we feel that we are very positive and constructive. We shall overcome together. Maybe we can have a women-to-women voices, women-to-women connections from the grassroots. And we feel that we are empowered by providing our experiences from this stage. So thank you so much, ILO and the Government of Australia for providing us opportunity to bring out our voices, which are heard at policy level and by all the participants. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, our wonderful woman. Thanks to our chair, thanks to all the panelists. Sometimes when we look at what can be done for the future, we look at policy, data, research, studies. These are all important documents that we need to be working on. The policy maker will have to talk to each other and making policies and everything else. But sometimes the one things that we forget that it is equally important is the opportunity to really listen to the story of the women who not just stand up for themselves, but also stand up for others. And here are our role models. The story that we hear can be quite painful and not joyful, but some of those stories are actually things that we can work upon so that we can improve not just for us, but for women everywhere. So once again, thank you, our panelists, thank you, our chair. And if we can take one photos of all of you together, that would be really nice as well. Yeah, our camera woman, what you need. Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, once again. Thanks our panelists, thanks our speaker. All right, we are getting closer to lunch. And again, we have to earn our lunch with a Slido polls. If we can go to Slido, please. There is a poll going on right now on Slido. So if you can now go to your slide.do or slido.com on your iPhones, on your tablets, you will see a poll here. This is for this session. For the following, what is the most important factor keeping working women behind in your country? Because we are coming from different country, different background and experiences. So if you can click on one of these multiple choice that include social norms and attitudes, lacks of education and skill, discrimination, work and family balance, sexual harassment and violence. And then the result will appear here from your choices. So we take a few minutes to go on your Slido, and result will be appearing here soon, not now. Because our team on the back is doing the choices, and then the result will be formulated here on screen. Is everybody done the choice? Our team on the back, is it going on now? If you have any difficulty on Slido, please raise your hand. We have notes in your bags that we gave this morning. We also have the instruction of the Slido on the table in the box, on each of the table as well. Thank you. Can we show the result already? Yeah, sometimes I am slower than technology. Still have to catch up. And this poll is actually just for all of us to understand what are the most interested subject of our participant. This is, oops, and now it's a blackout. All right, while we are fixing everything, just before we go to lunch, we have one more activity, which is a group photos of all of us. And I know it's not very easy to gather 150 people on stage, but we will do our best because it's very important for us to remind ourselves because this is a very, very, very special event. Result is coming up? No? Okay. Forget it for now. All right, can we do a group photo already? Yes, all right. We have our official photographer, our pretty lady over here. I know everyone wants to take photo with our own phones as well, but we can promise you that we will send the photos, right? So that we don't take too much time. So, yep, so can we have, do you want everyone on stage or? Right, okay. Can we have somebody from the hotel help us clearing the stage, please? Nope, nobody coming? Well, let's do it ourselves. Please come on stage and arrange ourselves here so that our camera woman can take photos. Oh, by the way, the lunch will be on 4th floor where we have breakfast this morning on Amaya. And our session will resume here at 1:15. So please make yourself here on stage for the official group photos.